So this is where we're at. The stomach is still there, but I think it has reduced a little. But yeah, I feel like I still look a bit pregnant. And then the tires are still there. Tires are still there. I really want this gone, especially before even the stomach goes. I don't know if that is possible. But yeah, other than that, I feel so much stronger since I started working out. I have more energy. I take much more water because I'm not really good in drinking water. So working out forces me to drink water, because by the time I'm done with working out, I usually have either taken 500 ml or actually 1 liter of water, which is a good start to my day. I'm using these weights. These are 1.5 kgs, but I feel like I've outgrown them. I'm not challenged when I'm using them, so I'm going to get heavier ones, probably 2 or 3 kgs. Yeah, 3 kgs each. These were a gift from my husband. He bought them from Carrefour, so I don't know how much he bought them from, but I know he bought them from Carrefour. But there are several fitness pages on Instagram that sells weights. So if you want weights, you can check them out, or you can check Carrefour. Step is get signed up in the system, because that is what will enable you to start working this journey. So say yes to the Japan opportunity. And like I said, first order recognition, the order will be 6,000. If you send it to the customer, that is the amount the customer will pay. Whew. Hey guys, I am done with the workout. At some point, of course, I had to stop filming because it was distracting, but I'm linking the workout. Today I used Growing Anana's workout on YouTube. It's a strength training workout, but it also has cardio, has stretches. As you can see, I'm out of breath, but it was really challenging. I love her workouts. It's what I used to use before I got pregnant, and her workouts are really challenging and effective, and I think I'm going to continue with her for now. If I change to another channel, I'll let you guys know, but her workouts are really effective. So with all this sweat, I want to go shower, then I'll have breakfast, and then I'll show you guys what I have for breakfast, because I'm also trying to sweat. Losing weight is not just about working out. Your plate also has to be clean, otherwise you'll just be doing it in vain. I'll be here, my legs were shaking in the middle of the workout because it was that challenging. So after all this work, I definitely don't want to take myself 10 steps back by not eating the right things. Hey guys, so I want to get started on the beef stock. I already have my oven preheating. I'm doing 200 degrees. This way it doesn't take too long. So this step is optional, but I'm going to brown the bones, but it's optional. You don't have to do it. It just enhances the flavor. And these are bones. These are soup bones, so they don't have much meat on them. But some of them have bone marrow, which is really, really good. I'm actually going to, after I'm done with the meat stock, I'll also remove the bone marrow so that it remains in the stock, because bone marrow is rich, collagen and all that goodness which I want my baby to get. So I got 2 kgs of bones. I was thinking of dividing and just cooking, making the stock from 1 kg. But on second thought, I've decided to just do all of them together to save me on the time and also the gas, because I'm planning to do this on gas. I'll just do it on low heat. Normally I'll do it in my pressure cooker, but I want to use the pressure cooker to make the ossobuco. I told you guys I'm doing meat stock and also ossobuco for the baby, because I want it to be tender, and we also need to use the pressure cooker later in the day, so I want it to be free, and that's why I'm using gas. Otherwise I use pressure cooker to do this, to cut down on the time and save me the gas. So put that there. So all we're going to do is roast this in the oven until they've browned a bit and they get that deeper color and for flavor. And then we'll just put everything together in the pot that we're going to make the stock from. Yeah, and just let it simmer away. Simmering is just gentle boiling, so we let it simmer for about 4 hours, and then I'll show you guys the next step. So for the vegetables for the stock, I'm using some carrots. This is a carrot from leftover carrot from when I made a salad, because I was making like strips with a peeler, so that's why it's like this. So I added just other herbs, then an onion. You can also use by the onion peels, as long as they are clean, of course. You can use onion peels in your stock, you can use carrot peels in your stock, as long as they're clean. Then I'm using ginger, 4 cloves of garlic. Then I decided to also add some dhania stems and some thyme. You can add bay leaf if that's what you have, but I don't have bay leaf, so I'm not going to add that. Yeah, you can also add celery. I also don't have celery, and that's why I'm using both dhania and the thyme. So I'm just going to roughly chop this as the bones are browning. Yeah, then we'll proceed. So I'm just going to roughly chop everything because after making the stock, we're going to dispose this. So no need to like cut them into smaller bits. No need to even peel. So the carrots are washed. I'm making this for my baby, but this is also, meat stock is also a really good base for when you're making your beans, your lentils, even for adults, it's really good. And even just for drinking, really. And for people over 30, you need to start drinking your collagen. You need to start taking your collagen supplements. And supplements are expensive, but you can always get some soup bones and make stock like weekly and drink this. Really good for the bones, for the hair, for your nails. So this is ready. No need to cut the dania stems or to remove the leaves from the thyme. So I'll just put them like this, whole like this. So this is the pot that I'm going to use. It's a ceramic pot. It was a gift, a wedding gift, but I bet you can get it. Any well-stocked kitchen shop should have that. So I'm just going to put the vegetables here as we wait for the bones to brown. They're not so far off. Let me get a shot for my Instagram as well. Then I will put our bones, put water, and let this simmer. If we are making this for, let's say, adults, or rather, it can still be taken by adults, but because it's also going to be used in the baby's food, I'm not going to add any salt because my baby is 7 months, almost 8 months old, so he's not yet taking salt. But of course, if you're making this for yourself, definitely add salt so that it just simmers together with the salt. So the bits with the meat are definitely browning. We don't want it to brown too much. I think this is okay, so I'm going to remove this and we put it in the pot. I was afraid that it might not fit, but they will all fit. So the water should cover the bones, and then now we're just going to cover and let it simmer away on low heat. So I'll bring it to a boil first, then I'll lower the temperature and just now let it simmer for the 4 hours. Guys, I've changed my mind. I think I'll put the stock in here so that it shortens the time. Then I'll cook the ossobuco on the gas because that won't take 4 hours to become like fork tender. So I'm going to transfer the bones and everything in here, then we'll pressure cook for 1 hour as we cook the ossobuco. It's already smelling so nice. You can smell the thyme. So I'll pressure cook, but I will turn the pressure valve into sealing so that the stock doesn't get cooked out, because if you don't do that, it will turn, the liquid inside here will turn into steam, and then it all evaporates. I don't want to pour it out because then it's going to splash. So as the stock is cooking, I want to do the, what is it called, ossobuco, and I'm just going to cook the same way that I cooked the ossobuco from the previous video. I'm going to link the video. The only thing I'm not going to add is, of course, salt. And then for the baby's food, I usually try to keep the spices as minimal as possible. So I usually use black pepper and cumin powder only, and so far he has never reacted to that, so that's what I always use in his food. With time we'll keep increasing the like doing other varieties. So for the ossobuco, I've tried my best to remove the membrane that's usually here. There's still a bit of it left, but yeah, I've tried to remove most of it because I want this to cook until it can be shredded, so I don't want that membrane to be there, so that's why I was removing it. But now I'm just going to season with some black pepper. And that will be it. Then we'll proceed now to browning as I chop the vegetables. Then we'll make the ossobuco stew and let it simmer until tender. By the way, this is a lot. I'm going to batch cook. I mean, I'm going to batch this into different meals for him once I've shredded. So this is a lot. He'll probably eat, because we usually, I batch cook, then I freeze. So you can also batch cook your baby's food. You don't have to keep cooking fresh. Let me just wipe here. So I had some leftover tomatoes. We usually put them in here. I want it to be a rich stew, so I'm doing, this is the equivalent of 2 big tomatoes. As I'm doing this, I've already put some oil that's preheating because I want to brown them fast. Currently I'm using vegetable oil, but I would really want to use ghee. I think I'm going to try one of these days and see if it reacts. I know ghee has most of the milk solids removed, but there's still some traces of it, and my baby is he gets flare-ups when I take dairy. So I figured we also cannot give him dairy. So sometimes I use like fat from the stock. When I make stock, the fat that usually solidifies, I usually use that to cook his food. It's more healthy compared to the vegetable oils. I'll just put all my vegetable waste there. Okay, my oil is ready, so let's go brown. So the onions have softened, so I'm just going to add a bit of black pepper and some cumin powder. I like cooking the spices in oil so that they cook properly. I do that even for our foods. And apart from the oil that I use for browning the meat, I haven't added more oil. So I'm going to get some garlic paste. Increase the heat a little. I'm adding carrots as well because carrots are vegetables and I'm trying to make this as nutrient packed as possible. The other option would be adding broccoli, like cut into really tiny pieces. But remember, we're going to shred this meat. The carrots have gone in. Then the tomatoes. The tomatoes to cook a bit. I'm going to add a bit of water so that it doesn't burn. And them to cook down a bit to a paste. Then now we'll add our meat in here. Add some water. If the stock was ready, then we would have added that, but it's not yet ready. Instead of water, so we'll add some water to cover, and then now we'll allow this to also just simmer gently until it's until the meat is fall off the bone. So a tip that I have learned when cooking meats for babies, ensure that you use low heat, because high heat usually makes protein to harden. So when you use low heat, when it's simmering, it helps break down the proteins, helps break down the meat, and so it's easier for your baby to digest. So I usually do that. Even for chicken, I cook it on low heat. I bring it to a boil, then I lower down the heat and cook it on low heat so that it's tender and so that he's able to eat it properly, and also for his system to digest. So keep that in mind when making meats for your babies. So the tomatoes are cooked down, so the only thing remaining, the chunks that you can see, are it's carrots. So now I want to add the meat. Now some water. I'm adding more because by the time the meat is like fork tender, most of the water will have evaporated. So don't worry about the amount of water in there. So I'm just going to bring this to a boil, then we'll reduce, cover, and let this simmer away gently until the meat is full of the bones. So the stock is done. It smells really, really good. And can you just see how rich it is? So I want to sieve out I want to remove the solids, so this the bones, yeah, so that we just remain with the stock. But it's okay, it's hot, but can you see how just the meat is just falling apart, the little bits of meat? So that's how it should be. So if you're doing this on your stove top, if you don't have a pressure cooker, just let them simmer for 4 to 6 hours until the meat pieces, like when you touch them, they just disintegrate, and that's how you know it's ready. That's how you know all that goodness from the bones is in that stock. So let me sieve this into a bowl. In fact, I think I'll just use the scoop, although this will take forever, because these beads are just the time, which there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to separate, I want to put some aside for us to just drink, and then I'll let some of it cool down, and I'll freeze that, and I'll be using that to make the baby's food. The fat that it has is also really good. It's healthy because it's animal fat, so it's good. So like I told you guys before, I'm going to also remove the bone marrow from the bones, because I want that to be in the stock as well, that I'm going to be using for cooking the baby's food. So I'll do this, then we'll come back and I show you guys how much stock I've been able to get. So if I had a glass jug blender, I would blend this when it's still hot, so that the fat and the water in the stock emulsifies, the fat emulsifies. But my blender is plastic, and I'm afraid if I pour this into the blender, it might not go well. So I'm just going to freeze it like that. I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys really do? Because I don't want to do the jerry can method. The jerry can method is you put this in a jerry can and you shake it until the fat emulsifies. That just seems like a lot of work that I am not willing to undertake. So this is how the ossobuco turned out. The soup has really reduced, and I didn't want it to completely dry because I want it to still have some sauce. So the meat has become really tender. I want to put it on the chopping board and just shred them, then mix them back again with the sauce that's remaining, and then now I'm going to cool them down and freeze once it's cooled down. So this is what I meant by fork tender. Can you just see it's just pulling away without any effort. So even when you're making, like, let's say minced meat, ensure you simmer it low and slow so that it's easy for the baby to digest and even chew. Let me just remove it from the bones, including the bone marrow, because that is also really important. My favorite part of ossobuco is the bone marrow. So this is quite a lot of meat. You can freeze baby's food for up to 3 months. But of course he won't eat this for 3 months. Or if you prefer freshly made food, you can do that. You can batch cook enough for just 2 days. This has some cartilage, so I won't cut that. I feel like that will not be very easy for him to digest. You can also just like chop them up into smaller bits, and since the meat is fork tender, it will shred pretty quickly. Now this looks like a lot of work, and maybe someone is probably thinking you should have just gotten minced meat, but minced meat doesn't have bone marrow. Meat that's near the bones is much more flavorful, much more nutritious because of the bones as well. When you're simmering them down, collagen and all, so it's not the same. So I'm going to do this, then I'll come back and show you guys the end results. Okay, so I'm done, guys, and this is the end results. Almost looks like the canned, I don't know if you guys have eaten canned beef, but yeah, mixing it with the sauce. Bone marrow right there. Remember we had also put carrots, and the carrots of course have become very soft, so you can't really see them, but they're in there. So this is like one really nutritious meat stew. It has the carrots, it has tomatoes, it has meat, it has bone marrow from the ossobuco. So yummy. So I'm going to put this in a container and then let it cool down completely, then we'll freeze. You can also put in ice cubes, like freeze them in cubes so that you only take a few cubes, but I don't have any extra ice tray. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you've learned something. Until the next video, thank you for watching. Bye.